Mr. Amit Bhatia is an award-winning social impact entrepreneur whose initiatives have contributed immensely to the social and environmental impact movement in India. He is the founder of Aspire Impact, a social enterprise in impact leadership and ecosystem development that started in 2007. Aspire has trained over 65,000 students across more than 100 institutions in 51 cities and 18 states. At Saha Zero Waste, Amit, through Aspire, has made us reimagine the meaning of impact, how it can be measured and reported. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Amit Bhatia, our keynote speaker, to share his insights.
Check. So out beyond our solar system is a planet you may not have heard of, Copernicus. Copernicus came into existence about 4 or 5 billion years before the Earth. And over time, it was inhabited by a race which has fairly intelligent beings. 750 million years ago, the Copernicans developed a motion picture technology far ahead of what Earth has today. In fact, they developed, a technology that they could do time-lapse movies at way faster speed than we can imagine today. They had additionally developed some absolutely super-powered telescopes that gave them the power to look at the Earth from outside the solar system. They decided one day they're going to make a movie of the evolution of the Earth. Those cameras were set up, and for 750 million years, those cameras have been recording what's been going on this planet. Very soon, an interstellar expedition is going to come here to Earth and is going to play that movie for you. The movie is going to play over 365 days non-stop. It'll start at the midnight of a New Year's Eve and go until the midnight of 31st December to the end of the year. It's a time-lapse film, fast forward. The movie is going to play in a way that every second is going to be, you're going to be seeing 24 odd years in a second, which basically means a human being is being born, growing, and out in 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, out. That's how fast this movie is going to play. It means in a day, if you watch the entire movie, you'll see 2 million years of this Earth's evolution. They are all set to play this movie, and I'm going to ask you to imagine what you might be seeing in this movie, which has been recorded for 750 million years. When the movie starts, January, February, March, first 3 months of the movie, 90 days, 180 million years, you will not recognize what the Earth looked like. No landmass, nothing is going to be what you have seen on a world map. All you're going to see is volcanic activities and geological changes. And you are going to see seas bubbling with boiling water. And nothing is going to tell you, well, this is the movie of the Earth. Come April in that movie, you'll start seeing first signs of life. The single cell organism being born in April. Come May, you might start seeing the first few vertebrates. And it's going to be till about mid-July. 400 million years, into this making of this planet, that you're going to start seeing plant life taking shape. Foot by foot, slowly, very slowly, this mat of vegetation is going to fight against the power of erosion to start vegetating this planet. It's going to be a long process, slow process. By the time you're in August, the waters are going to cool and they're going to be, brimming with fishes. September, you'll start seeing insects. And it's going to be October. You're going to be almost in the 10th month of seeing this movie, and now the landmass are going to start beginning to look like the world map you were all taught. There'll be seismic activities and shifts in the rifts of this planet, and you'll see the Himalayas come up and the Rocky Mountains come up. And that's happening just in October. So now you're just about seeing the Earth the way you know it today. But October will also see the first kind of, feathered creatures. And if you've all read that, half reptile, half, bird-like creatures take to the air. And by end of October, you're going to see the watermark dinosaurs from the size of a goat, to the large 40-ton dinosaurs you watch in the movies come inhabit the planet. The movie will keep running. You'll reach December, and by December, the planet is going to be green and blue, completely vegetated, virgin forests, clean crystal streams, but no man. And you will start feeling, has this movie left out the mankind altogether? You'll go all through December, and you are coming up to December 31st, and still no sign of mankind. Only at about 12 noon, you're going to see a man-like creature, the Java ape man, beginning to appear. And you may breathe, well, maybe we'll see something of it. But you've been watching the movie a whole year. You're on 31st December. At noon, you just about see this Java ape man, and movie keeps running past dinner time. And at 11 o'clock, an hour left for the movie to end, and you'll see the Neanderthal man. You would have seen photographs in your history geography book, those 2-3 ape-like men trying to make fire out of it, trying to make spears out. The Neanderthal man is going to show up. And not the civilization you know. Not the civilization you know. Time will keep passing. And in the last 5 minutes of this film, just before this is going to end, you're going to see the dawn of civilization. In that final 6th minute and 5th minute and 4th minute, you'll see the Roman civilization and the Egyptian civilization and the Babylonians, and you'll see the Indus Valley quickly come and pass through. It's not going to be till about 1 minute, 14 seconds before the end of the movie that you're going to see the Christian era, AD, take place. And you'll start saying, okay, this is something I know, but not the world we were taught about. And that won't happen till the last 20 seconds. And as the movie is about to finish, in that last 20 seconds, you're going to see, the modern era come into being. Columbus is discovering the new world, and suddenly you will see a movie that is going to aghast you. In those few fleeting moments of geological time, mankind is going to spread like virus on this planet. Inhabit it end to end. These big virgin forests, which took these millions of years to develop, they are going to start falling before fire and eggs. The soil, which for eons had been trying to create a place for these plants, is going to be laid bare, open to erosion and winds. And clear streams will be taking that silt away and throwing it into the oceans. And in those few fleeting seconds of geological time, you will also see the earth warm up 1.5 degrees Celsius. You'll see forest fires. You're going to see, climate changes like you've never seen. And as the movie comes to the end, at the final second, on 31st December, the screen is going to read, "We have just arrived on Earth. How long will we stay?" We have just arrived on Earth. How long will we stay? It's very clear that when you start putting the evolutionary history of our planet squeeze it into such a time frame, you kind of start imagining how fragile our planet can be, how precarious and precious life is, and what we might be doing today with all of this. You will also realize how infinitesimally small is human existence when you start looking at this. And therefore, the fact that some of us, like Wilma and the team out here, can find time to courageously figure out that a great way to serve this planet would be to make sure that the soil, the air, the waters are restored to what this planet really was. And I'm sure all of you will agree that making sure that waste is not going to landfills, is recycled responsibly, is a real way to have impact on this earth. As an impact measurement company, and as someone who assessed last 12 months of the impact Sahas Zero Waste created, I can tell you that's quite a story. Over 42 tons, 1,000 tons of waste processed last year. And if you start looking at that, waste segregated at source, 100%. Wet waste recycled, 100%. E-waste recycled, 100%. I think dry waste recycled, 65%. Almost 95,000 tons of carbon dioxide offset. 7,000 tons of plastic diverted from going into the oceans. I'm not surprised. They have a 9 out of 10 client satisfaction rating, and I'm therefore not surprised that the only kind of team that can deliver is one which has 60% women. So please give them a big applause. James C. Retty wrote this fictitious fable I just spoke about. He wrote this in 1948, 75 years ago. He was a forest officer and ecologist in the United States. And when I read this story, a short, fictitious fable, it reminds me the responsibility before all of us. And until every organization on the planet starts thinking about itself, that how can I become an impact enterprise, it'll be hard to save the planet. It is critical that we start thinking of this planet in a way that every organization serves people and planet, as you've been seeing on the opening screen that we have had behind us, all the time. And this is only possible if we all have a shared understanding and vision of this. And a vision has been laid out. If we can all get ourselves to think about that we can transcend from this capitalism that we have seen for the last 250 years to a capitalism which starts embracing all these different forms of investing that make investing responsible, there is a chance. And as part of one of my jobs of running a global multilaterals, we got 2,500 institutional investors to agree on a definition of how can we come together and fund organizations like Sahas Zero Waste so that this planet and this story can end differently. And we all agreed on a framework. And the framework simply says, we have to imagine this new capitalism in 3 steps on an impact continuum. And the investor said, to make it easy for people to understand, let's just call it ABC of impact. A meaning avoid harm. And this is being called ESG investing or ESG business today, where ESG stands for environment, social, governance factors, so that businesses at the very least are not polluting the airs or water and not making sure people have minimum wages, making sure their health, safety standards adhered to, policies, regulations adhered to, so avoid harm. The B means benefit all, benefit everyone. So if renewable energy is creating and making sure that there's less carbon in the air, whether the rich breathe that or poor breathe that, everyone benefits. Sustainable fisheries, sustainable agriculture, sustainable forestry benefits all. And C is contribute solutions, which is impact enterprises and impact investing. And that's what you do. You're right at the top of that 3-step grid, trying to solve problems for the planet, and that is very, very admirable. Yes, absolutely. I also want everyone to take back this message, because we just heard investors, and I know they are in the room, that all my analysis has shown. In one of my earlier lives, I had a chance to be the founding CEO of India's Impact Investors Council. And we found one really doesn't have to compromise on profits in trying to bring such organizations to life. One of the first things I did when I was setting up India's Impact Investors Council was to get McKinsey to do a study to benchmark these returns. And we got 40 competing large funds who do not generally share such data to share this data, and we started figuring out what is this return. In 2017, we managed to publish that report, and we found India's impact investing sector, between 2010 and 2016 had delivered 11% dollar-denominated return, which means after depreciation of rupee vis-a-vis. And that was great, and I'm sure Sah Zero Waste is going to beat that, right? No pressure. But the reason this is important to understand is unless we believe that we can do this in a profitable way, we cannot make sure significant, capital is allocated to these three buckets that I just described. Global data suggests that in developed countries, you have the same returns in ESG area as in pure wealth maximization. And in developing countries, it's a little better in investing in ESG than in pure wealth maximization. So the question we have to keep asking, and all of you should be ambassadors for that, is when you can achieve the same returns while making sure waste is recycled, or girls go to school, or agriculture is sustainable, or poor are included in the financial world, or healthcare is affordable, why would someone just simply invest in pure wealth maximization? This realization alone can help us shape that impact economy, which can save that planet that we just described, and can make sure that James Reety's, pretty much ominous, forecast can be averted. 40% of the world's wealth measured in assets under management, 40% has already moved to ABC. So the global wealth is about $150 trillion in professionally managed assets. At the end of 2020, almost $60 trillion had already moved to ABC. I am very hopeful that by 2030, in pursuit of SDGs, we'll get to the 80% mark. And there'll be a long tail of 20% of investments left where people, out of their selfish, motivations, will continue to try and feel, maybe I can still make money for the heck of making money in whatever way I do it, and I should not be the one to care about the people or the planet. But they'll be a minority. By the end of this decade, it'll be immoral and unethical to make returns without being able to say, I made 10% or 12 or 15% by doing this. Already pension funds around the world are sending out statements to their members saying, you made 7% this year while putting so many girls through education. In India, giving so much, micro loans to small, textile owners in Bangladesh, or giving so many farmer loans in Kenya. And that's a great way, an ethical, moral way to get that return. I have a firm hope that ultimately that movie, when it ends, it will belong to the believers, not the 10% disbelievers. And I often tell this tale, a moving tale of believers. And this is a real one. This is not a fiction. About 300 years ago, Maharaja Abhay Singh in Jodhpur decided to build and construct a new palace. This is a real story. He would need a lot of wood to build this palace. So he sends his soldiers and woodcutters to a nearby forest saying, fell the trees that you can. We're going to make a palace we're all going to be proud of that Rajasthan has never seen before. The soldiers and woodcutters go to a nearby village of Kejrali, which has kejri trees in abundance, or cinnaria trees. Now, cinnaria trees, of those of you who have ever been to Rajasthan, are special trees. They weather 5 degrees to 50 degrees Celsius weather changes. They give shade, they have medicinal value, they add to soil fertility. And this area, filled with Hindu Bishnois, worships cinnaria, worships kejri tree. As the soldiers and woodcutters descended on the village, a woman, Amrita Bishnoi, decided she's going to stand up to them. She goes with her 3 daughters and puts up a resistance to these soldiers and the royal forces and the woodcutters. The soldiers behead Amrita Bishnoi and her 3 daughters. But just before beheading, Amrita urges her villagers to join this particular resistance and says, a chopped head is cheaper than a chopped tree. This statement, a chopped head is cheaper than a chopped tree, becomes the rallying cry for Bishnois. And on that fateful day, villagers from 83 villages in 1730 go to these forests and hug these trees. And on that day, which you can follow up on Google, on September 11, 1730, these soldiers chopped to death 350 villagers. The forest turned red with blood. Ultimately, Abhay Singh did not cut trees in that forest, but he went elsewhere. This act of Amrita Bishnoi became a precursor to what we came to know later in 20th century as the Chipko movement, which went on to become a big ecological movement on conservation. I tell this story because I want us to remember that let's not forget the sacrifices of those who came before us, who sacrificed their present for ours. Let's not forget people like Rachel Carson in US, whose Silent Spring seeded what we call the climate movement today. Let's not forget Nobel laureates like Wangari Maathai, who first said, I'm going to plant 1 million trees. And let's also not forget that through this, it is the social fabric as well, not just the environment and climate concern, the social fabric which presents a clear and present danger. Think about it. From Occupy Wall Street, Extinction Rebellion, Arab Spring, Yellow Vest movement, over these last just 2 decades, how many events have happened which show how much social discord is there around the world. In Chile, a 4-cent increase in metro led to a revolution. The government was overthrown, and they are writing a new constitution because people are realizing around the world that the social contract between governments and citizens is broken, and it must be recast. But let's also not forget that throughout history, whenever we were at junctures like this, it was humanity that rose and solved the problems. It were people in flesh and blood like you who found the solutions. The Industrial Revolution made goods affordable. The tech revolution connected us in an unprecedented way. The European Union made sure there was the cycle of wars ended in Europe till the recent Russia-Ukraine conflict. And once again, I'm hopeful that it's going to be leaders like we see in this room who are going to solve this problem of the social and environmental challenges before us. So I'm going to leave you with this. We're at a unique juncture in time. And this last June, Earth has already heated 1.5 degrees Celsius. It is going to take innovative organizations like Sahas 08 and millions of them to help avert what otherwise is going to be a climatic, catastrophe. It is possible that by creating such impact enterprises, we can make sure man's greatest discovery, greatest invention, money, moves away from being a malady to a remedy. And you are showing the world how you can use business and capital to solve problems. And that is a sustainable way to address these big issues. If capital is not sustainable, we cannot build a sustainable world. So together, it is possible to envision and bring into reality this impact economy. It is possible that we try and work together to make sure that if 19th century was all about return and 20th century was risk and return, 21st century becomes risk, return, and impact. And if we do that, you can be rest assured that we are going to be able to finish that movie, that James Ritchie fictional movie, with a place where you're all happy and proud of your contributions because you were amongst the first to show this. So thank you very much for doing what you do. Thank you.